Alrighty, friends, we are back. It's your favorite podcast show of the week. It's Location Weekly. This is episode number 689, and we're recording on October the 2nd. Yes, it is fall. Brianna, how are you?
I'm doing great. Let's see. Braves made the playoffs, so that's exciting for October.
Yeah, they didn't win, but they
They
made the
didn't win, but they made it.
they made it. Yeah, so that's better than I can say in Toronto. So
Yeah. So and we've got what Ad Week coming up next week. So just like, the usual fall things. How are you doing?
yeah, busy plotting and finalizing things around our Retail Local Conference, which will be in Atlanta on October the 22nd. So some good speakers coming together around that. We have the former CIO of Macy's, who's also on the board of Ahold Delhaize now. Tropical Smoothie is going to be speaking. Kroger, IHG. So a lot of good brands will be down there. So if you don't have your ticket for Retail Local yet, get one.
Get it.
Yeah. So get in touch with Aubriana or I. We can help you out with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all right.
All
Well,
right. Well,
four stories.
four
So let's
stories.
do it.
Let's go. All right. So there's a South Korean dating app called WIPPY, and they are expanding into Japan. They are trying to cater to the needs of the Japanese users and drive service growth through location-based matching algorithm. So this is, interesting. They have all of these user interactions, data sets, and they are touting that they have a premier algorithm that is enhancing trust and likability in the matching process. So what it does is it's recommending potential friends based on the user's preferences, their personality, but there's also this profile context feature. So it has things like their hobbies. It also shows their MBTI, which is Myers-Briggs type indicator. I had to Google that. I was like, oh, interesting. I know what my Myers-Briggs is, but MBTI I did not know within their user profile. So people can kind of understand or get like a snapshot of other people's personality at a glance. And then the other thing that's kind of cool is they have an emphasis on safety. So they have a strict ID verification process. It's 24/7 monitoring by community administrators. And then every account that's set up and all the profiles, they go through this screening process during registration to verify they are who they say they are, I guess. So right now, the matching service market in Japan is 3 times larger than in Korea, and it's projected to grow approximately $1.3 billion in the next 3 years. So they see this as a good market to go after, and I think it's a smart move. I was curious, like, do you think, or is there different cultural norms that pertain to these dating apps than here in the US? My guess is yes, but I think this is an interesting expansion, and I like that they're using location and the AI matching algorithm. I think that's pretty cool. Thoughts?
Yeah, not a lot to add to it. I like the algorithm that they're using. I've never seen a dating app using a Myers-Briggs test as part of one of the criteria. So I think that's interesting. And the other stat that came out in this article was that 10% of global consumer spending on dating apps happens in Japan globally. So that's a big number. And so I think like for them expanding from Korea into this market, probably makes a ton of sense. From talking to obviously the LBMA has extensive operations in Japan, and a lot of members there, and I've come across a lot of friends who've used dating apps over there. They tend to be from your cultural comment, like I think a little more marriage minded in sort of finding partners on these types of apps than let's say here in North America where it's more about the hookup culture in a lot of cases. So interesting. I like it.
Cool.
All right. Moving on to our second story now. So, difficult subject matter here. We're talking about the 988 National Suicide Hotline. This is obviously in the US, and it's operated by the Health and Human Services Department. And so they made an announcement on Wednesday, just past Wednesday, that now all calls to 988 will be routed using location data or geo data. Previously, what they would do is they would just basically route the call based on the area code of the phone, the origin phone call of where it was coming from. But people are moving, people a lot of people have migrated since COVID from one state to another state, let's say. And so we're not all sitting there with our landlines anymore. It's all cell phones and mobile numbers. And those aren't necessarily a good reflection anymore of am I in that particular region or zone. And so they're now using this location data. They're calling it geo routing. So they connect the calls to the crisis centers purely based on locations, with local counselors and local resources. So I think this is interesting. Verizon and T-Mobile have already started as of last week, using this service. They're still working with AT&T to get that up and running in the next month. And this only at the moment pertains to voice calls. The next step for them will be to add this to their text-based messaging services as well. So I think this is a great move, and makes a ton of sense in today's, much more mobile phone world than to, use only an area code. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that context matters and location matters, especially when there's a life on the line. I think this is a great improvement to the service. And I would just say, as a reminder, the 988 line is available to call or text if you or someone you know are considering suicide. So I just think that's an important thing to leave with.
100%. Yeah.
Okay, let's go to food deliveries. This is an interesting story. Kiwibot. This company, Kiwibot, began making food deliveries on UC Berkeley campus back in 2017, and they did it using robots. They believe that there's this massive kind of untapped advertising opportunity that they're looking into. And so they think that this could be, relatively good ROI here to the fact that they purchased Nickelytics. If you remember, we covered kind of something similar a few weeks ago, which is going to tie these stories together. Very interesting. Nickelytics was founded in 2019, and they are a Tampa-based firm. They specialize in doing car wrap advertising. And now they have branched out into truck advertising and digital ads, like the displays in the back seat that you might see on the back of like ride sharing cars, right? So we covered the story of the truck ads acquisition just a few weeks ago, where Nickelytics had acquired truck ads, and now we have Kiwibot acquiring Nickelytics, right? So all of these companies coming together, they obviously see some big opportunities here. In March, Nickelytics actually had partnered with a competitor to Kiwi called Starship, and they started wrapping ads on robots that were designated for the University of Utah and UCLA. So Kiwibot, I think this piqued their interest. They are very interested in the data analytics that Nickelytics has, and the opportunity to spread word in like high traffic spots. They're spread out across 20 different states. And the Nickelytics CEO, Judah Longrear, he's going to join Kiwibot as a co-founder. They currently have a few high-profile customers. This is including AWS, Coinbase, Nationwide, and DirecTV. And obviously, in turn, those clients have access to more than 500 mobile Kiwibots that they can advertise on. I think this is interesting. I think that you think about being on a college campus, and a lot of times people are walking, people are moving from building to building, or just congregating in different places. And I think that this is like such a great way to reach that audience. Not only you are delivering them food with a specific service with these bots, but now you're also advertising on them. I think it just makes sense. It's getting a lot of attention. People are still stopping and staring at these robots delivering food. And now they've already got the eyeballs, so why not throw some advertising on there and increase your ROI for the business? So I think this is a smart move. And it's just interesting how like we were just talking about these two companies, and here another comes and acquires them. So things happen fast in this industry.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, so I think what I'll add to this is to speak to the analytics side. So here, In Canada here in Toronto, I'm on the advisory board of a company called Movia, Movia. They are a truck side advertising company as well. But what's interesting is they've, I think, like Nickelytics, focused on the data analytics side of things, and so they built some technology that basically queries the number of devices nearby to where that truck is, or as it passes by, how many potential phones are there, i.e., how many eyeballs potentially saw that ad. And so I think, when you think about it from, whether it's on a truck or it's in a ride share or it's on a robot now, gathering data on, the attribution side, same as we talk about all the time in the retail media network discussion, right? It's one thing to say, are we delivering the right ad, to the right people in the right place? But, are we able to measure, its effectiveness? And I think that for me, a big part of this acquisition comes from the data side in terms of what Nickelytics can bring to Kiwibot, as they, go down this road. And I love that, they originally, were partnered in testing with Starship, their Kiwi's competitor. And then, Kiwi saw that and said, hey, we don't want that. So we'll take them out. I love stories like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's super interesting, and I think we'll see more and more of these types of acquisitions. I think in the next 12 months or so. So good stuff. All right, final story. We're going to talk about a an app called DePop. It's spelled DEPOP, and this is a platform for selling goods. Think of it sort of like eBay. But what's interesting is they're using artificial intelligence now, or they've launched a new artificial intelligence feature that takes image recognition. So you take a photo of the product that you want to sell. It's a fashion resale platform, just to be clear. And then using the generative AI, basically you upload the photo and then it will generate a product description for you with details such as the color and the category, and suggest relevant hashtags, and pick up the brand and things like that. So all you have to do is upload a photo of that jacket or that dress or whatever it is that you're wanting to resell, and then not worry about having to write that description about it, and have the platform basically auto generate that. It's currently only available in English speaking countries, but I really like this type of application and this use of AI, because I think it's all about saving people time, right? And making their lives easier, and ultimately driving more usage of the platform. In this case for DePop. And they're not obviously the only ones doing this. Amazon has been doing this for some time with product descriptions. eBay is testing this as well with some of the stuff that they do. But I like that we're seeing smaller platforms like DePop using the generative AI capabilities in a positive time-saving manner. So I think it's a pretty cool story. How about you?
Yeah, I think this is great. Last week I had the pleasure of attending this conference, this women's conference called the Southern Sea in Round Top, Texas. Yes, the population there is like 90. But I was able to join, and I was speaking to a group of women entrepreneurs, and I was asking the question of how many of them are using AI in their business. And surprisingly, like 50% of them are in some capacity. But I think of tools and technology and AI like this being able to really help those who are kind of like, you're a startup, you're scrappy, you're kind of wearing a lot of hats at that point in phase, and while you're trying to get from that middle-sized company to like really being adopted at a national or a global level, right? And a lot of these women are creatives, and so they are really focused on their product and the quality, and they're curating these goods. And so I think that tools like this, if you can make it available, maybe outside of this app or outside of this fashion use case, is so compelling because it does save them time, right? Whether it's, hey, I need to write a blog post and I'm going to use ChatGPT for that, or hey, I need to upload a lot of products and I need a start with descriptions, and I don't really, and then I can go back and just like analyze. This is like a time saving kind of a thing. So I like hearing more and more about this. I think there's a lot of applications for it. And what can we kind of cut out the taxation on our time to be better, where we're just kind of like reviewing and not necessarily having to spend every moment creating.
Yeah, makes a ton of sense. Alrighty, well, that's our four stories for this week. I just want to take a minute again to remind you guys that we have our Retail Local Conference, October 22nd, 23rd in Atlanta. We hope we'll see you down there. Reach out to Aubriana or I if you want more information or get a ticket. There's still actually a couple of spots on panels for speakers. If you're interested in that, we'd love to have you. So yeah, and otherwise, thanks everybody for listening, for watching. We'll see you next week with another show. Take care. Bye.
Bye.